The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. This non-commercial program is for educational purposes only.
You're listening to
आप सुन रहे हैं तो इन सुनो था
നിങ്ങൾ കേൾക്കുന്നത്
ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ
Radio Azim Premji University.
If you're a sports lover and someone asked you who Sania Mirza, P.T. Usha, Deepika Kumari, Bachendri Pal and Mary Kom were, you probably wouldn't bother to Google. But if someone asked you who Archana Venkataraman, Rita Gombu, Vandana Rao, Chekruvolu Swaru and Sarita Devi were, your answer most likely would be, who? Such is the nature of sports. Some become stars, while others are eclipsed by the stars. This is Almost Perfect, a podcast series from Radio Azim Premji University, where we bring you the incredible stories of Indian women athletes who competed at the highest level and made a name for themselves, but who rarely find a mention in the Hall of Fame of Indian sports.
I was a national champion when I was 17.
Tennis is an expensive sport. You need support, corporate support.
There have been just 4 Indian women who've played in the Grand Slams.
Europe was really tough. The way they played tennis is different from the way we did.
Episode 3. Game, Set, Mismatch. The SAAP Tennis Complex in Hyderabad was packed to capacity for the women's tennis final of the 2002 National Games. Archana Venkataraman, representing Karnataka, was a mighty contender. Archana lost the first set 4-6 to a local teenage sensation, Sania Mirza. After 66 minutes of a one-sided match, Sania won the gold in straight sets. Those present at the stadium knew they had witnessed the birth of a star that day. As for Archana, she knew her reign as the queen of the court was coming to an end. Archana was 4 years old when she regularly accompanied her parents to watch her older sister train in tennis at Mumbai's Shivaji Park Gymkhana. Little did she know at that time that these outings would pave the way for her own journey into tennis.
I went to the wall one day and I saw this looks so easy, people are playing. I hadn't joined yet and I tried swinging and I think maybe I missed it. Then I think my parents took a decision to put me into tennis at Kantirva, and that's how everything started. That's how the whole journey started.
In an era where Indian middle-class parents forced their children to pursue academic excellence, Archana's parents made an unconventional choice of encouraging their daughters to become professional tennis players.
It was like a system, like my parents, my sister, me. It's like totally involved in what we're doing, totally into the sport. The first tournament my sister played, it was in Bowring. She reached the finals. That gave the kind of incentive to my parents to start really encouraging us.
The Tennis Lovers Bangalore tournament in 1986 was the first competition Archana's sister, Arthi, had participated in. When Arthi reached the final, the entire family was ecstatic, and every day since, every member of Archana's household dedicated their lives to tennis. Archana's father, who was a chartered accountant and knew nothing about the sport, started reading numerous books on tennis and became a self-styled coach. Her mother, a homemaker, donned multiple hats, serving as a nutritionist, ball girl, and their biggest cheerleader. As the siblings progressed in the sport, they became each other's driving force, constantly challenging one another to elevate their game. Both Archana and her sister represented their school in tennis and excelled at it. Despite her tiny stature, Archana would beat opponents much bigger and stronger than her. By the time she was 17, Archana clinched her first gold at the 1995 Finesta National Tennis Championship.
It was called Shriram Open back then. And it was totally washed out because of rain. We went to play a tournament and they cancelled the tournament. Barsat movie had come over then. It was Bobby Deol and I think Twinkle Khanna. We've gone for very few movies. And I remember going and watching the movie. I'm like, wow, what is this? Because we've never seen a big screen. We've never seen movies. And I do remember that after that I went on to the tournament and I beat a lot of good players. I think everything just clicked. The rest maybe the week before helped. And I went on to beat, Arthi Ponnappa. She was a very good player. I went on to beat so many good players in that tournament. But finals, I knew I would win because Chakravarti had lost a girl called Rashmi Khanna in semis. And I was very confident with Rashmi Khanna's game style. So as expected, I won that. And that was a national champion when I was 17.
Hero Honda, देश की धड़कन.
The 1990s was a historic decade in India as it witnessed unprecedented economic growth propelled by liberalization. Indian sports also tried to break free from the shackles of a disappointing past. However, the success stories were far and few between. The only exception was cricket.
126 for 9.
An historic day for Indian cricket.
It became immensely popular after the 1983 World Cup win, attracting massive amounts of money.
The boost is the secret of my energy.
Our energy.
The other sports were still searching for their moments of glory on the global stage. Amidst this backdrop, young, promising tennis stars like Archana and Arthi grappled with the lack of finances. The sisters could not afford to play in the international circuit despite dominating domestic tournaments. We spoke to senior sports administrator and former journalist Manish Kumar to learn more about the history of Indian women's tennis.
History of women's tennis in India is more than 110 years. From the time of 1910 when organized tennis was being done in India, it took 1971 for first Indian women tennis player Nirupama Mankad, who belonged to a very illustrious sporting family of Bombay. She was the first Indian to feature in a Grand Slam draw, but that too in mixed doubles. So 60 years it took an Indian to qualify for a Grand Slam event. Then it was 1998, again after 27 years, by a lady called Nirupama Vaidyanathan, who was again a pathbreaker for Indian tennis, women's tennis. She was the first Indian to feature in a singles of a major, which is the Grand Slam, the Australian Open. It was not till 2005, which means another 7 years, for an Indian to make an impact in the Grand Slam. Sania Mirza gets into the scene in 2005, but then again it took another 15 years for the fourth Indian woman to play the Grand Slam. That's in 2020 when Ankita Raina qualified to play the Grand Slam. So in probably 113 years of Indian history, there have been just 4 Indian women who've played in the Grand Slams, be it in doubles or singles. So which tells you how tough it is at the highest level and the kind of support that they require to not just survive and make, ends meet. It is also to invest, because as high performance players in tennis, you need to make constant investment in your training, because every 2-3 years the trends are changing, the strategies are changing.
1998 was a pivotal year for 20-year-old Archana. The International Tennis Federation held its first tournament in India, and Archana faced her first top 500 seeded player.
I played a girl called Ligan Kelly. She was a top 500 player. She was from Ireland. And I beat her. And I remember the headline, even now it says, "Turning Kelly to Jelly." That gave a lot of confidence that yes, I can play. I can do this, because she was a player who was traveling, and top 500, those you get bonus points. Every top 500 you get 1 point bonus. So on your first ITF tournament in your home and you're doing it, kind of boosts up a lot of things for you.
The same year, Archana and her sister received an ITF grant of $2,000 to play in Europe. The trip was a huge learning experience for the sisters, both on and off the court. They were travelling to Europe alone for the first time and found themselves making decisions previously delegated to their parents. On the tennis court, the sisters were met with a stark realization.
Europe was really tough. We realized that. Winning a couple of matches, every match will go deuce advantage. But the way they played tennis is different from the way we did. They can keep back thousands of balls for each rally. We are not taught that way. We are taught to hit the ball. So when we went there, we were not getting much of success than what we expected.
Despite not winning anything during their European tour, the experience prompted them to recalibrate their approach and integrate the newfound insights into their repertoire of skills. Over the next 3 years, the sisters embarked on a successful run, channeling their refined approach into major tournaments in India. It was around this time that a rising talent named Sania Mirza was making waves in the tennis circuit. A clash was inevitable, and it finally happened at the finals of the National Games in 2002. All eyes were on the prodigious 16-year-old Hyderabadi Sania Mirza, who had just won the Asian Junior title a week ago. Archana, representing Karnataka at the Games, was a mighty contender, having advanced to the finals by decisively beating her opponents. The SAAP Tennis Complex in Hyderabad was packed with a carnival-like atmosphere. The stadium erupted with thunderous cheer as Sania, the local girl, walked into the court. But when Archana walked in, she was met with loud boos and jeers. Even before the match had begun, Archana knew she was at a disadvantage, being the outsider. Sania quickly asserted her dominance from the outset, claiming the first game with ease. As Archana geared up for the next serve, the stadium echoed with howls from the crowd in an attempt to throw her off. Despite the distractions, Archana tuned out the noise and delivered her serve. Following a closely contested battle, Archana emerged victorious, levelling the score at 1-1. From that point on, Sania gained the upper hand. Fueled by the roaring home crowd, she outplayed Archana in the subsequent games to open up a massive 5-1 lead in the opening set. But then, Sania made a series of unforced errors, allowing Archana to reduce the gap to 4-5.
Game Archana.
Sania soon regained her touch to break Archana in the next game and wrap up the first set at 6-4. She continued her sparkling display in the second set, racing ahead 4-love with service breaks in the second and fourth games. As Archana struggled to find her feet, the hostile crowd was proving to be too much of a distraction.
Quiet, please.
Second set was going close. First set, I remember she took it. Second set was going close, very close. Deuce advantage, deuce advantage, deuce advantage. She had a lot of support for her, lot of support. To the extent where they hated us so much, they used to literally throw chalk on us. That crowd used to throw chalk on us and, bring us down.
Archana showcased remarkable resilience, fighting back to claim the 5th and 7th games. But Sania responded with equal determination and went on to win the set and match.
Game 7 Sania.
We spoke to veteran sports journalist S. Kannan, a prolific writer and commentator of Indian tennis, and he had this to say about the crucial match that day.
Whether she played in Calcutta, whether she played in Hyderabad, or whether she played in Afro-Asian games, she always had support. So that support obviously did not come. I don't know whether if that tournament had been held in Bangalore, it would have gone the other way.
Looking back, Archana recognizes a clear difference in skill levels between herself and Sania Mirza.
I think funding played a very, very big role. She was very talented too, there's no doubt about it. And that 8 years younger made a difference. For Sania and us, I think if we were in Sania's generation, that 8 years would have opened out a lot more opportunities for us. In terms of sponsorship, in terms of better training.
S. Kannan, who's closely followed Sania's career from the beginning, agrees with Archana while highlighting a bigger problem plaguing Indian tennis.
Tennis is an expensive sport. You need support, corporate support to travel. Let's take today's example of someone like Sumit Nagal, who's 140, 145. So he's still struggling for sponsors. Yeah, so this is the sad part about, the Venkataraman sister, almost forgotten. Nobody probably would know. I think even if you Google it, not too many pages are going to be thrown up. Women's tennis, Sania has been there, served for more than 20 years. And what she's done in the Asian Games and come so close in the Olympics, I think it's standout. But we don't know who's going to replace her. You don't have a proper training system. You don't have a proper coaching system. It's a very, very sad scenario.
In 2007, Archana played in her last nationals at Guwahati, winning the bronze in singles and gold in doubles. She continued playing local tournaments before retiring in 2017, aged 39. Today, Archana runs a tennis academy in Bengaluru, where hundreds of young tennis players train every day. She also coaches her son Prakash, who's currently India's #1 ranked player in the boys under-14 tennis. Life has come full circle for Archana. From watching her sister train in Shivaji Park Gymkhana to charting her own professional course in tennis, and now embracing the responsibility her parents once shouldered to nurture the tennis ambitions of the next generation. It's not improbable that the next Sania Mirza or Leander Paes is honing their skills in Archana's tennis academy. And as the future champions rally on, they carry not just the legacy of their coach, but the spirit of a woman who, against all odds, shaped her destiny on the courts they are all set to conquer.
If one Sania Mirza has come out of our country, one Mahesh Bhupati has come, talk about Rohan Bopanna. So you don't know what is there around the corner for you. You have to give it your best every day. You don't get things easy, but you will never be denied what you're destined for.
We hope you enjoyed this episode with Archana Venkataraman. Also, check out our previous episodes featuring Rita Gombu, who missed becoming the first Indian woman to conquer Everest by 200 meters. And Chekravolu Sworo, the Naga archer whose hopes for an Olympic medal were blown away by the wind. For more inspiring stories on Indian women athletes, join us for the next episode of Almost Perfect.
You're listening to
आप सुन रहे हैं You're listening to सुनो था ನೀವು ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ರೇಡಿಯೋ
Azim Range
ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿ